Shawn Michaels, what a legendary career that man has had. I mean, really, he had two separate careers when you look at it, and that's exactly what we are going to do, because you've tuned in to Ups and Downs, the show where we do, well, usually we go through Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view, and we up those downs, but we're having a bit of fun with it over the last few weeks and months, and today we're having more fun, because we're going to take HBK, the Heartbreak Kid, and we're going to go through everything he's done in professional wrestling, and the good bits are going to get an up, and the bad bits, well, they're going to get a down. Did my little think face there, like I was an emoji. Anyway, my name is Simon. This is WhatCulture Wrestling. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being alive, because if you weren't alive, you'd be dead, and that's never good. Let's up those downs for Shawn Michaels. Now, we are going to start off controversially, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, when you use the word controversy, where else could I be going? And that, of course, is Shawn Michaels' entrance theme. Does it get it up, or does it get it down? Well, you know what? It's getting it down. Fair play to the man. He basically had the same music throughout his entire run. That rarely ever happens. Go play a little game right now. Get a pen, write down all of your favourite wrestlers, and see how many times they change their entrance theme. No one ever gets from day one to the final day without having a little bit of a shift. But I'm sorry, when it comes to Shawn Michaels, we have to give it a down, because go and listen to the lyrics. I mean, it was fine when he was the sexy boy back in the early 90s, but when in 2018 he's coming out to, I think I'm hot, I think I'm sexy. We can't give that an up. What are you trying to do to my show? I have to make sure the integrity of the brand stays alive, and that's why Shawn Michaels enters music, it gets a down. Right, with that out of the way, we can now go back to handling this in chronological order. It's actually quite hard to know where to start with Shawn Michaels, because the early part of his career is quite interesting, but we will go where everybody knows and where everybody can relate to, and that, of course, is when he joined forces with Marty Jannetty. He made the Rockers get him up. Coming together in 1985 for one of the NWA offshoots, they actually won the tag team titles that year as well by beating the Batten Twins, whoever they were, before flying over to the AWA in 1986. It was here where they came up with the name the Midnight Rockers, and if you would like a little piece of trivia, they got that from the Judas Priest song Living After Midnight, and it's also where their character started to form as well, and they basically started acting like a couple of pretty boys. They won the tag titles here as well in 1987, but they could see the writing on the wall and they knew the promotion was dying. So you know what they did? They signed on the dotted line for Vince McMahon before they'd even dropped the belts. In fact, even when they did drop them, it only took them 5 days, and they were in the WWF. You kind of already know the rest, and if you do, it's all out there in the land of Google for you to go and have your mind blown. Because yeah, back then, Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty were doing things no one could believe, especially compared to the big man era, where they kind of like slump around and be like, oh, I'm a barbarian, big slam. And Shawn Michaels would do like some big elbow drop off the ropes. However, they also got in a lot of trouble backstage, apparently because they were partying too much, and they took that well too far, because they went and got themselves fired. They were eventually rehired in 1988 under the shortened name of just the Rockers, and they went on an absolute tear, even though throughout their tenure in the WWF, they never actually won the championship. Now, there is yet more controversy. We've already talked about controversy at the start. We got more here, and yeah, we got more later. But they did actually beat the Hart Foundation, who had the tag team titles, on a house show, but for some reason, the promotion never recognized it. You tell me, I don't know. I'm just a history book for the day. Even still, they were trailblazers and still influence people we go out and watch today. All went bad before long, as is always the way with tag teams, but amazingly, the breakup, which is meant to be negativity and sadness, that's getting up. Now simply dubbed as the Barbershop Incident, it's one of those moments that when you were a kid really sticks with you, because it allows you to start to understand what pro wrestling is and how hard it can hit home. I mean, the only thing that did hit harder was Shawn Michaels' foot as it slammed into Marty Jannetty's face and made him smash through a window. It was the perfect heel turn, and here I am in 2018 still singing its praises, because that's how well it was handled. So never forget that, people in wrestling. You can create magic just using your minds. The resulting feud, though, was absolutely a down. Ruined due to Jannetty's behaviour away from the ring, which actually saw him get suspended at one point, the coolest moment throughout was when Marty actually beat Shawn Michaels for the Intercontinental title. But let me tell you this, that was weak at best. Michaels won it back on a house show a few weeks later. We never really had anything outside of this. There was no big blow-off, there was no huge Wrestlemania match. They just went their separate ways. You know what Shawn Michaels did? Unfortunately, we also know what Marty Jannetty did, and I ain't even going to talk about it. If you want to know what he thinks about, allegedly, go Google Marty Jannetty's name. I had nightmares. Throughout this period, Michaels was slowly transitioning into the Heartbreak Kid, a gimmick that apparently was suggested by one Kurt Mr. Perfect Hennig, and he was teaming with Sensational Sherry. It don't take a genius to figure out this is getting up. We started to see glimpses of the man that he would become and started to get all that nonsense about him leaving the building. You remember Howard Finkel just randomly throughout a show after a Shawn Michaels match would get on the microphone and say, "Shawn Michaels has left the building." It was a takeoff on what Elvis used to do, but it was a really smart, was just a really good idea. It was a really good concept. And there was dozens of these elements coming together to shine a light on what Shawn was evolving into, and as we know, he did a pretty good job with it. That's why it got up. And that all continued to evolve throughout the years up until 1993 when Sensational Sherry went that way, because coming from over here was Big Kevin Nash. Getting up to. Coming when Shawn Michaels had already won the Intercontinental Championship a few times, the end game to this, admittedly, wasn't all that great. I mean, Vince McMahon, he got too excited about Kevin Nash, he pushed him too early, put the world title on him, and we all know what happened, it bombed and it bombed hard. But it's the period itself that we're looking at right now, because we're going through it year by year, and let's face it, this is when that WrestleMania 10 match happened, and we ain't going to stand here and crap all over that. 1, it would be disgusting. 2, you're going to turn off if I start doing that. 3, we just ain't doing it. While it wasn't actually the first ladder match in the company, because Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart had popped that cherry a few months earlier, it is something that put the stipulation on the map and actually encouraged kind of what we see today. I mean, let's go back to 1998. Would Mick Foley have done all that craziness off the Hell in a Cell if it wasn't for this ladder match? One to think about, my friends. It also had a pretty good spin that some people forget about today because it was for 2 different versions of the IC title. Both Shawn and Razor Ramon were saying, no, I'm the proper IC champ, so the belt went above the ring and whoever grabbed it, they were going to be the legit guy. That makes so much sense. Ramon would win, but today that's utterly irrelevant. We all remember the big splash from the top of the ladder and how this opened doors for professional wrestling to continue to evolve. They took a risk. That risk paid off. Back to the downs though, because yeah, we got to talk about the curtain call, and surely from a 2018 perspective, we got to give it a down. Down. With Scott Hall and Kevin Nash leaving to go to WCW, Shawn Michaels and their friend Triple H hugged in the middle of the ring following a match which stunned an onlooking Madison Square Garden crowd who couldn't believe what was actually happening. I mean, everybody knew what the deal with wrestling was back then, but never before had it just been thrown in people's faces as much as this. I mean, you may as well have taken the industry, put it outside and set it on fire with a match. All the fallout fell on Triple H's shoulders, including him having a hog pen match against Henry Godwin. And if you don't remember that, don't go and light up your brain and put it back in there, because what else could Vince McMahon do? Scott Hall, gone, Kevin Nash gone, and Shawn Michaels at this time was the world champion after beating Bret Hart in a WrestleMania 12 Iron Man match. And because I'm biased towards the Hitman, I'm now going to enter a kayfabe world of ups and downs, and you know what I'm going to give that? I'm going to give it a down. I didn't want Hart to lose then, and I'm still a bit upset that he lost now, because I'm a damn idiot. But yeah, the curtain call kind of underlined the negativity that was following Shawn Michaels around, especially backstage at this time, and it took the focus off the product itself. That always sucks. Another down as well, because shortly after this, Shawn Michaels misplaced his face, lost his smile, and vacated the WWE title in the process. Tell me a lie. Down. We could go on all day about what is true and what isn't true, and to be fair, we're never gonna know. However, there is plenty of evidence out there that seems to suggest that HBK hammed up his knee injury simply so he wouldn't have to lose his title within a ring. We don't like that. As we know, it all culminated in 1997 at the Survivor Series. And look, given everything else I've just said, not only are we going to give it a down, look around so no one gets mad, nope, no one's here, we're going to give it a brown down. And yeah, I know that one incident helped fuel forward the Attitude Era, which we all love, and it turned Vince McMahon into one of the biggest heels we've ever seen. But taking the event for what it wasn't fun to watch. You either had no idea what was going on, so you were completely baffled, and the internet wasn't really a thing back then, or you had 100% awareness, and you were just like, well, isn't this just great? This thing that I love, this thing that I enjoy, once again, it's just being on from a great height. The hilarious part is that around all of this, there are so many ups and downs that it kind of summed Shawn Michaels up. There was all that ludicrousness in the UK where at the last minute he decided that he shouldn't lose to the British Bulldog, even though the Bulldog had dedicated the match to his sick sister. But then he was also involved in that amazing 1997 SummerSlam match between The Undertaker and Bret Hart. You also got the incredible follow-up, which was Shawn Michaels taking on the Dead Man in the first ever Hell in a Cell match. And if we now retroactively up and down those three things, it goes down, mark it up, it goes up, mark it up, and it goes up, down, up, up. That theme continues too because of everything that happened next. Clearly being quite savvy to the winds of change in pro wrestling, Shawn Michaels teamed up with best friend Triple H, got China on board, and they invented D-Generation X. Now, today, watching a lot of what they did 20 or so years ago is actually quite hard to watch, but you can't deny it had a huge impact. It's also a bit strange to look back on because they weren't really an entity until the end of 1997, and then by March 1998, Shawn Michaels was gone because of all his back problems. That ain't a long running time at all. But they did touch upon a lot of magic, which included a Royal Rumble encounter against The Undertaker again, and of course when Michaels dropped the title to Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14, with apparently Taker waiting backstage in case HBK just decided he didn't want to do the job that night. But he did, and the era of the rattlesnake was born. It's here where Shawn Part 1 ends 2. Naturally, that gets it down. His back injury was so bad, many people thought he was done. And while we did see him throughout the years, I mean, he was part of the NWO, then he was the commissioner of Raw, and he also did some commentary here and there, and absolutely sucked. The general consensus was, we ain't ever gonna see him take a bump again. Or so we thought. Such a thinking was so severe and so set in stone that when he did come back at SummerSlam 2002, it sent everybody crazy. It helped it was against Triple H just because all the history involved there, but the real icing on the cake was that the two were gonna clash in an unsanctioned street fight. Now, I didn't see Rio or Ken or Zangief, but let's not worry about that and let's focus on what we can. This is still, even now if you go watch it, absolutely amazing. It saw Michaels' wounded back get viciously attacked by a steel chair, and at one point he even climbed a ladder and did a big elbow drop off the top of it. And do you know what else he did when he was there? He gave the shrug emoji. It was 2002, but he up there and he went, he didn't even know what it was. From here, it was just a resurgence for Shawn Michaels as he won the world title one more time at Survivor Series 2002 in the first ever elimination match. And it was ruined a little bit because he was wearing those poo-coloured pants, but I can't help that. And he had ridiculous matches against the like of Kurt Angle, John Cena, everything with Ric Flair, you know, the whole I'm sorry, I love you, then just kicked him in the face. And of course, that feud with Chris Jericho, which just helped everybody. Obviously, all of this happened over the course of a few years, but what you should focus on is that it cemented Michaels' legacy as one of the best ever. And you can prefer career one as opposed to career two or vice versa, but it doesn't matter. It's when you push them together that you start realizing this man basically did it all. And if you do feel like you need more proof, go back to WrestleMania 21 and re-watch that match against Kurt Angle. It is smoother than my bald head. Even his bout against Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 22 was kind of entertaining. He had done it. No matter where he was going to go next, Shawn Michaels, Hall of Famer. There were blips along the way, as there always are. One of these would be when he fought Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam 2005. Now, depending how you look on that, you can either give it an up or you can give it a down. But for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna give it a down. This is mostly because it was meant to be a trilogy of matches before the big Hulkster walked in and went, I don't want to do business, brother. Even though, yeah, it is actually still hilarious to watch. Shawn Michaels basically trolls Hulk Hogan in the middle of a ring in front of a live audience. Let's go big now though and talk about everything that led up to his last proper run. You know I'm talking about The Undertaker, and you also know what I'm talking about. It shines in your face, it makes you feel good. It's the Golden Up. It seems silly to go into the back-to-back WrestleMania matches and try and sing their praises because you already know. You know how great they are, and you know every now and then you sit down, go on the WWE Network and watch them. But I want to focus on the finer details that a lot of people have stopped talking about. His 2010 Royal Rumble performance especially is masterful because he takes all the emotion you could possibly want and he injects it straight into that match and makes it even better than it usually is. Desperate for his rematch with Taker but being told it wasn't going to happen, HBK came up with a master plan. He'll enter the Royal Rumble, he'll win it, and then the dead man will have to face him because at the time, the Phenom was the world champion. That's why when Batista did eliminate him, it hit you straight in the gut, and that was all down to how Shawn Michaels reacted, and it pissed him off so much, he walked into the next pay-per-view and he cost The Undertaker his title and helped Chris Jericho win. Because he was like, Now what are you going to do, Taker? You've got to fight me. And they did. What a great plan. It was 2 years of fantastic storytelling by WWE, which is why his retirement felt as good as it did. He didn't go out on a whimper. He went out on top. We'll also throw an up in there for his most recent comeback in 2018 because look, who am I to tell Shawn Michaels he can't come back to the ring? I'm just some jabroni who right now is doing weird things with his wrists. He had years of being a hero, so if he wants to come back and have one more match, then so be it. I don't think that it tarnishes his legacy. If you didn't like it, all you've got to do is ignore it and remember all the good he brought to you before that. And yeah, we'll give a down to the fact that it was the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, and you know why. That wasn't the smartest choice, even though it all ties in with the money, but still. Other than that, Mega HBK fans got to see him one more time, and who knows, maybe this isn't actually the end of the road, and he's got a few more in him still. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about Shawn Michaels' career and share your favourite memories. Like, share and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Then go over to Twitter and follow WhatCulture at WhatCulture WWE. My name is Simon from WhatCulture, aka Mr. Ups and Downs. Thank you for joining me, and I hope I see you again soon.